But then came the hardest question: who would lead it?
So the hard task came. Financial Secretary now make a recommendation as to who should be the first Commissioner General.
He looked across the service, then he looked inward.
I looked around, thinking the journey that had come all the way from 1976. And I said, I think you should just accept me to go back to the Revenue Authority and become the first Commissioner General.
His dream? To make Kenya financially independent, to break from dependence on donors and conditions set by others.
The dream that I've always had of giving you revenues that will make you not resort to begging money from IMF and World Bank, who are giving you so many conditionalities which are not politically favorable.
Therefore, he demoted himself in title, however, rose in legacy. Edgar Manasseh, the first Commissioner General, the man who fought to build KRA, then led it into history.
Mudavadi said, how do you demote yourself? I said, I'm interested in making sure that you have resources that are making you independent of any of these bilateral or Bretton Woods institutes. So reluctantly, Mudavadi agreed, and I moved to the Revenue Department and started the Revenue Department.
mtoto mzuri remix mambo sawa.
Daniel. All right. Thanks, Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Daniel Nzalo, thank you very much for serenading us with the saxophone. Daniel is a Kra employee, believe it or not, playing fantastic saxophone. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are chasing time today. Put on your running shoes because we have a lot to catch up on. If I can get my ushers to please get everybody back to the room. We have some conversations that are waiting for us. We will be happy to do so. I want to acknowledge all the teams that are joining us, especially online. Thank you very, very much. We have a host of teams who are joining us online. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh wow, they are many. Thank you to the Kenya Bankers Association, Association of Microfinance Institutions, Association of Kenya Insurance, Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya, IBK, the ACI and Financial Market Dealers of Kenya, FinTech Association of Kenya, Association of Fintechs in Kenya, Digital Credit Providers Association of Kenya, DCPAK, Digital Financial Services Association of Kenya, Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, KDIC, wow, Information Communication Technology Association of Kenya, ACCA, ISPAC, ASEC, Kenya Association of Music Producers. Oh, you too, fantastic. KMA, we've got Kenya Medical Association joining us virtually and in the room as well. Kenya Motorist Industry Association. Yes, darling. Madam Winfred has misplaced her phone. It's a techno. Winfred is a lady walking by. If you have seen it, she's called it and someone has picked it, so we believe that someone is perhaps around here. Please give me that phone. Winnie is a bit distressed. If you have seen a techno with a cream white back, please hand it over to me or security or any of the ushers. Kenya Motorist Association, Kenya Motorist Industry Association, Cooperative Alliance of Kenya. We've got KEPSA, we have Matatu Owners Association, wow. I have Jeff Langat joining us from Isebania, thank you Jeff. Media Owners Association, Kenya Coffee Traders Association, Kenya Agribusiness and Agro-Industry Alliance, Kenya National Federation of Jua Kali. So I'm just appreciating you as we get back to the room so that we can start our plenary. MSME Alliance of Kenya. Oh, you'd be interested in this conversation that's happening next. The MSME Alliance of Kenya. We have the Architectural Association of Kenya, Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya, Association of Kenya Insurers, Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, Institute of Engineers of Kenya, Association of Microfinance Institutions, wow, Association of Professional Societies of East Africa. Yes, please come in, everybody. Karibuni sana. Just appreciating the various groups that have joined us online and here physically. Asanteni sana. Please also, the chat room I believe is open for you. So just in case you've got a question in the next plenary session, please feel free to post your chat. Okay, we're ready to begin our first plenary. Oh, thank you. Thank you, FIAFA. Federation of East African Freight Forwarders You're here with us in the room. Thank you so much. Asanteni Sana. All right. Thank you, everybody, as well. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates to the Kra Tax Summit, we are ready for plenary number 1, where we are going to talk about tax-based expansion through MSME empowerment, enhancing knowledge and tools for sustainable tax compliance. Here to lead us through this conversation is a distinguished journalist of great standing in our society. He is currently with the Kenya Television Network, or KTN, as a business journalist, ready to engage with us. My colleague and co-moderator at this tax summit, I want to welcome with a round of applause Mr. Maina Shege. He'll lead us through this discussion. Karibu Sana Maina, we are looking forward to the discussion. Great to have you. Welcome to Kra Summit. This is your first time, Maina, right?
No.
Oh, this is not your first time?
No, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, we're looking forward. Maina, please take a seat. Maina, you have mics? Okay, they're on the table. Can we have Dana? Could we have some mics, please, on the table? We can hand them to Maina. Yes, the 4 of them. Thank you very much. All right. Maina, I believe you're situated well. Okay, you can give him. Oh, okay, it's fine. So for him, he doesn't. Okay. Karibu sana. Maina, take it away. We are looking forward. Can I have my Glenn Fidich? His microphone, is it on? Okay, you can use this one though. Karibu.
Check 1, 2. All right, thank you so much, my co-moderator, Asante Sana, for the introduction. Good morning. Goodness, Lord, it's afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, let's get started to this. I would like us to get straight into it. But first, before I call in my panelists, allow me to just speak my opening so that at least we can get started. We have 2 amazing panels. I need to go quite fast. But first, if you don't mind, the conversation is on tax-based expansion through MSME, empowerment, enhancing knowledge and tools for sustainable tax compliance. That should be the conversation. And I want to immediately just call in my panelists to come up here so that at least we can get started to it. Joining us first, we have Mr. George Omondi Obel. He's the Acting Commissioner for Micro and Small Taxpayers at Kra, with over 28 years experience, and has previously served as Deputy Commissioner and Chair as well of ATA VAT Committee, and also served in the EU tax expert, and holds an MBA, LLB, and BSc in accounting, and also an ISPAC member. A round of applause to Mr. George Omondi as he comes. Makofi tafadhali. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Karibu sana. Next, we have Beth Wanjiru, Director of Consumer Banking at SBM Bank, a trailblazer with 22 years experience as well in driving financial inclusion, digital transformation, and women's banking. Please put your hands together for Beth as she comes as well. Welcome, Beth. Next, we have Paris Kiguru. Paris Kiguru is a development professional with over a decade of experience in advancing MSME, youth and women entrepreneurship in Kenya. As projects officer at KEPSA, she leads transformative programs like GNUE program, promoting access to finance markets and more. Welcome, Paris. A round of applause to Paris as she comes. Thank you so much. That is Paris. Also joining as well on the panel is FCPA Christine Kahema Muthui, founder and director Alpha Tax Advisory. A round of applause to Christine as she comes, with over 20 years experience with multinationals, corporate and SMEs. And we love the fact that she has as well worked with reputable institutions like Coca-Cola, KPMG as tax manager and more. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. You may have your seats. Thank you so much. Before we get started, I like letting my audience know that this is not just about a conversation spoken to you, you'll be participating in it. So if I could have my slides up there, if you don't mind, my slides up there. Tech team, if you don't mind, if you could share my slides, I would appreciate, so that at least we can show people how to participate in it. Let me have my slides, if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you can try, get on your phone now. Get on your phone now. I want you to type this slido.com. It's a way that will help us, even the online participants, to ask questions, if you don't mind. So please type that in. There you go, slido.com, and the passcode is KRA. Please put it back, slido.com. The passcode is KRA. If I could have that, excellent. There you go. Just type that in. I should be able to know how many people are in there very fast. This is one way to engage with these particular panelists. Not just start as well throughout the conversation. We shall be able to see what you're doing with it. So are you already in? Slido.com, and it's KRA. For the ones who have supersonic phones, you'll be able to scan in the next question that I want to ask there. So there you have it. How are you feeling so far? Let's just check. This is one way of just me getting to know how many people have logged in. How are you feeling so far? Let's see. Some people are already excited and ready. Let's see. If the moment I get my sample of about 20, I'll be able to go. How many are we so far? Panelists, I think I want you to pay attention on this because there's a question that will lead to what we are discussing here. Excellent. We're already at 20. The rest are still slow, but we are together, right? You need to be as digital as KRA. Thank you so much for that. This is good. So far, so good. Now, to start this panel up, I would like to get your opinions on this question that we want to discuss here today. And we are asking, trying to go, yes, what's the biggest barrier to MSME tax compliance today? In your own opinion, what's the biggest barrier to MSME tax compliance today? Our conversation touches on MSMEs a lot today. And so we have a lot of people thinking complexity of tax processes and requirements, low trust in government systems. Is it limited awareness of or tax education? Is it negative mindset or culture? Is it, what are your thoughts on this? Let's see. And excellent. I like the participation so far, about 70 and going. Thank you. And my panelists, please look at that, because we're going to react to this even as we react to what the PS talked about. So this will be a very good one. Commissioner, you can see. This is your docket, and I'm sure you can see what they're thinking. These are the people who see the people on the ground. So this is going to help us to demystify this. Excellent. Lovely. Great. I have a final one, though, just to help us give context, and we shall react to both of them. Look at that. On a scale of 1 to 5, sorry, Commissioner, this is you on the spot. How effective do you believe current digital tools are simplifying tax compliance for SME? 5 being the highly, 1 being a bit low. Let's see what they think, and then we shall come back to the reactions. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for participating. If your neighbor is not participating, ask them what they're doing, because we are here not just to listen, but to discuss and ensure this is happening. There you go. Where is the scale? Where is the scale? What is it saying? Oh my goodness. On a scale of 1 to 5, how effective? They're giving you a 41%. 41% think somewhere middle. At least there's some hope.
Yeah.
There's some hope.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's hope
Yes.
there. I can see that. There's good hope. Good hope. Good hope. Wow. We are now at 160 something people participating. Thank you so much for that. Feel free to engage. So I'll take you back to this first reaction, the biggest barrier to MSMEs. And Commissioner, I want to start with you. What are your reactions to this? And the panelists as well would do the same thing. If they could, the mics could be on, kindly. Commissioner's mic, so we can go on. Tech team, go ahead.
Can I be heard?
Yes, we can hear you, but briefly. So kindly add some volume for him. Go ahead.
Can I be heard? Can I be heard? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. It's not a bomb, eh?
I think they wanted to scare you, but it's okay.
So thank you for that very good question and very good response. From the analysis that is there, it's been very clear that even as we engage with the taxpayers in assemblies, we have also done what we call a research. We gave some questions out. What has been mentioned here is exactly what has obtained, that there are complex systems in tax system that needs to be addressed, and that's very important because that is the number one thing that I've also seen here has come through. The other key element that has come out very clearly is the issues of literacy, it's not understood. Even some taxpayers do not even know what is their tax obligation. So that also has come out very high. And so yes, I agree with the findings that are there. And there are several things that we put together. So to those issues that you put together.
No, not yet. It's just a reaction first. It's just a reaction first. Let's come to my other panelists. Maybe you could just go ahead and react that way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can hear me.
It's a little bit low, if you don't mind. One of my panelists can't be heard until we hear you. Yes,
Okay.
not yet. Not yet. It's coming up. It's coming.
Coming up, you can hear me now.
I think we may have to start counting. How many billions have you counted so far? That kind of thing, so that at least the sound can work. Just checking. Sound, are we good? I'm waiting for your thumbs up so we can hear her. And if it becomes something else, we can always have these handheld microphones and fly with them. But go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think he has noticed something. So maybe we might skip you and then come to the bank side for the reaction. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so myself.
Or even you. Okay. I think we get an issue. Maybe because of time, sound team, and I know you have amazing mics here. So I have seen some handheld microphones. Can I have them here? Just bring them on. That's why I also decided I don't want that one. I like this one where I'm holding, you know. It's easier. There were several others. Can I have all the handhelds? Even that one, please. Bring them on. Bring them on. Yeah. And I know, sorry guys, I know they look very fancy on the lapels, but let's just flow this way. It will work so that at least we can save up on time. Thank you so much. Pass it to her and make sure it's working this time round. Otherwise, you might be taxed. Just check it. Anyway, excellent. Now put it on and then go ahead. Yeah. Almost there. Put the mics on, please. Put the mics on. Yes. Now you can try it. Yes.
Hello, mic check.
Yes, finally.
Fantastic.
Yes, there you go.
I think that survey was very, very important because it really tells you what's on the ground.
Yeah.
And I will just want to react to one of the issues with, in respect to the cost of compliance. You know, because of the size of the SME, the compliance costs are relatively higher than any other business.
Yeah.
Because it's a small business, yet the compliance requirements are many. Digitization has significantly helped in reducing that cost. But I think what we also need to look at now is whether we can consider removing some of the obligations. So for example, withholding VAT.
Yeah.
Withholding VAT is an additional requirement for compliance. Is it time that we review the place of withholding VAT, mainly for this sector, which operates in very thin margins, yet they're not able to meet some of those obligations? With e-teams now, withholding VAT is an obligation that I think there's an opportunity to review it so that we reduce this cost of compliance. You know one thing with the cost of compliance, it's usually a tax that is never collected by government.
Okay.
Because it is a cost on the business, it is never collected. We need to manage that level of compliance cost.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great reaction. And I know you could say more, just pause it at that. Beth, let me come to you. What are your quick reactions to the polls? And tech team, if you don't mind, I could have the polls back on the screen because we are reacting to those polls. Please allow us to have the polls back on screen so that my panelists as well get to know and react live on that. Yes, go ahead.
So thank you.
Push it up so that it's on. There you go. Okay. You can use has as they fix the other one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you for having me here, and let me take this great opportunity to thank KRA for inviting us, especially of the private sector. We don't often just get opportunities to collaborate and share our insights, whilst we represent a very large private constituency of customers who see us. Now, we have the benefit of engaging with customers through various fora, as we continue to scale them to be able to access loans and other products within the bank. And so part of the questions that we position to them is, why do you view tax compliance as a burden? So for me, it's more of a mindset issue even before we go to a capability issue. Mindset. When you think tax, you think burden. You don't think growth. You don't think business growth catalyst engagements. And so I think the mindset bit is an issue, is the audit culture. And I did have some insight from a friend of mine when I asked her, what do you think about this particular topic? And she said to me that many SMEs report audit fatigue. And this is based off the fact that repeated audits are triggered by internal KRA team changes or incomplete record continuity. So I'll leave it at that. I was able to also speak to Daktari next to me, and he said the same thing. So I'll pause right there. Thank you.
Now, awesome. I like that because you're just speaking their mind. A lot of people saying that complexity of tax processes and requirements. What you're saying, the fatigue that comes with it. Commissioner, you're taking notes. I can see very well. I love this. Excellent. Let's come to the KEPSA side, representing businesses, especially MSMEs as well under them. What are your reactions to this as well?
Thank you so much. And I think even as a build-up to the fatigue, it also comes from insufficient tax knowledge. Most of the, especially SMEs, they are not able to break down the complexities of even what a basic tax that they are supposed to be submitting.
Yeah.
So, and they are not even also able to, for example, even afford expertise to be able to take them through the processes. So when the inability to, for example, interpret the complexities and understand what is really expected of them now culminates to the fatigue that my colleagues are talking about, and of course now leads to the non-compliance.
All right. Thank you so much for those reactions. Please note that we are here to get solutions, discuss, and try as much as possible to see what we can do. You saw that reaction as well on the scale of what we think as well when it comes to the efforts that are being done. There's some hope as we agreed on that. And I want to implore to the people in the room. When you look at your phone, the two sides, there's a place for Q&A. There's a place for Q&A, there's the polls, and there's the Q&A. Right now I've just displayed where we're supposed to be asking questions, don't get excited, but just asking questions. So if you have any questions to the panelists on the go, feel free to ask it right away. Thank you so much for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the reaction. But looking at the subject today, just look at our topic. We're talking about tax-based expansion through MSME empowerment. And I would like to start with you, Christine. What is your immediate solution given to you? What do you think? And I love the fact that the commissioner is here. Because you have been on the ground. I've seen you sometimes when we are digesting budgets, everything else when Kerry does its thing. What are the MSMEs say and what can be done for us to expand this base through MSME empowerment? Go ahead.
I think that's a very good question. And when I look at SMEs, they contribute to about 60% of the GDP. So if there's an opportunity for tax-based expansion, that is where our focus should be. And we should be focused on inclusive growth and sustainability of the SME so that we are able to grow that pie and tax by default will actually increase. For us to know what solutions to give them, we must understand the pains of what SMEs go through. I'll just speak to one pain, and that maybe two. One is with respect to cash flow. For an SME, cash is king. They don't have the muscle to be funded maybe by a multinational or funded by any other organization. Their margins are so narrow, so anything that affects their P&L distorts their value chain completely. We must look at that and see what can we do so as to facilitate them in business, to enable them to grow, to enable them to scale, so that they are able to derive the revenues that we are looking for. Sometimes the issue is usually cash flow, mainly driven by factors, for example, pending bills, issues of terms of engagement from a credit period. And let me just give you an example, because we have a lot of SMEs in the service sector that sometimes we forget to look at. The tax point for VAT is usually the earlier of payment, the earlier of the invoice, or the rendering of the service. So for an SME, goes into e-teams, raises the invoice when they render the service, but they are paid after 3 months. But the tax obligation, they've got to pay that amount of money the next month, before the 20th of the next month. What does he have to do? They have to go into their pockets, get the money, and pay to the Revenue Authority. Is there an opportunity to review tax policy for this specific sector and not overcomplicate it, so that we see, are there ways we can facilitate so that the government invests in the business, so that the business has sufficient cash flow to run the business and generate more income? So that's one area from a tax policy perspective. Something else that we cannot forget is trust, and it came up in your survey. That trust relationship, you will see it was number 2. It actually ranked as number 2. And we are looking at this issue of the social contract, because the social contract is directly linked to voluntary compliance. If we all play our role in driving that social contract, as taxpayers, as the government, as revenue authority, we will be able to increase the tax morale and voluntary compliance. I can tell you, many people want to comply. And it's painful to comply when you know your neighbor is not complying. So it is important that we all comply, but we must comply in an environment where businesses are growing. The digitization of the Revenue Authority has really helped to demystify some of this. But what we are saying is that we need to look at even those systems. And Commissioner Bell, I can tell you one of the things that has, to some extent, killed the trust is a special table, yeah? I know that's a conversation that we've been having, yet we know that it is important. But many sometimes businesses, when they're on that table, their business comes to a halt. They cannot trade anymore. So is there another way we can fix the issue? Because certainly there's an issue. That's why we have the special table conversation. And maybe do it differently so as to enhance that trust between the tax collector, the taxpayer, and the government as a whole. Thank you.
Excellent. Very valid 2 points there. And, oh, someone is clapping for you. I think that's an SME somewhere there. Okay, just checking. Excellent. Paris, you're also part and parcel. Don't worry, that's not an earthquake. They're just clapping in a way. So, Paris, you are also talking to businesses every time. And we're talking about expanding through the tax base through MSME empowerment, enhancing knowledge and tools for sustainable tax compliance. What do you tell to Kra from your thoughts when you interact with businesses? What can we do?
As businesses, we need more involvement, and I'm happy as the moderator was doing some of the introductions of the BMOs that are in the room, because there is quite a number, because that is what also we need on the table. As we are discussing about matters MSMEs, how many MSMEs are in the room that they can be able to speak for themselves and also, have a voice in the table, so that we are able to understand what are the challenges that they are facing, what are the suggestions, how can we be able to collaborate with Kra, for example, and all the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, the goal for all of us is growth. And we must agree, and we all agree, that the MSMEs, they take the biggest chunk, even when it comes to the GDP contribution in the country. So are we involving the MSMEs on the table? Are we listening to them? Are we listening to their challenges and problems? And I love what Christine is also saying in the example that she's giving, when she says, if tomorrow there is a missed bill, that sort of disorients the MSME. They are not going to meet their tax obligation. And secondly, also, we also tend to have quite a number of changes, maybe in the tax laws and regulations. So today I have complied, but tomorrow, after maybe there is a finance bill or a new finance act, there is a change. So suddenly, I'm not sure whether I'm complying. I might think that I'm complying, but I'm not. So consistent involvement of the MSME on the table.
Sorry, I hope that was not intentional. Go ahead with that.
I thought that was a cue to my time is up. So, but the consistent involvement of the MSME on the table, and we give a listening ear to them, and that also now will build trust. They'll understand that the KRA, for example, is not coming to them from a point of, aggression, but a point of even helping them to grow.
Thank you so much for that. I know they're fixing your mic. Commissioner, just a quick right of reply before Beth speaks, and then you will have your time. I have seen from the documentary that you have been going around the country. I've seen some barazas kind of thing. Is that what she's trying to address? And do you think you're on the right path in terms of meeting the business persons on the ground? That should be a quick yes and no answer, so that we can proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, of course the answer is yes, but it's good to give some background information. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
What should be obvious, first of all, to start from the top, is that when you look at our tax register, the first thing that is very clear is the size of the MSMEs and their contribution. There's a mismatch. Let me explain. We've got a tax register of just about 21.6 million in our tax register. Of those, the ones that contribute in whichever form, filing, paying, there's withholding tax or something on them, about 9 million. So meaning that you've got a whole 12 million that are in our register, then don't contribute anything. Either they don't file, they don't do anything. So it's very clear. That's the first level. The second level, if you look at the pattern of the tax payment today, you suddenly realize that the weight now is on a narrow base. And let me explain that again. When you look at the large taxpayers and the wage, you suddenly see about 85% of the total basket for domestic revenue. Meaning that the whole SMS put together, the contribution is just about 15%. So clear, there's a problem here. You can see that the punching is below the weight. And so then the next thing, which is what now is linked up with what has been mentioned before, is then the question was why. And when you see now how KRA now has decided to structure itself, is now to put more emphasis on this category of taxpayers. Because you can see that their contribution is low, then it means that there are certain things that needs to be addressed. And that's why the structure has changed. There's now more focus on the micro and small, the emerging taxpayers. But then something there very important, while we've been going around the countries to get the feedback, we did also some research, literacy research, to find out what are our taxpayers telling us. And the things that have been picked out is what they told us, that yes, we would want to contribute. In fact, it's very obvious to them that they know that payment of taxes is a civic duty. So they are willing then to do that. But then the problem has been, are we enabled? Can we be able to do it? Do we understand our obligation? And hence the reason why we put in measures now in place. And we've just started. The measures we have just started. In fact, the measures that you saw here that we're talking about, issues about all these simplified solutions we are talking about, we have just laid the ground. We're just building now into that. So you see those issues of simplified solution allowing, for example, our taxpayers to be able to make payment on a daily basis, those who can. And that's the feedback you've been told. Some of them are saying, bodabodas are telling us, we can pay tax on a daily basis. Please enable us to do that. And so we are going in that direction. We are making sure that the tools that are there do support them. So we are much more focused on the front end now, giving solutions to our taxpayers to help them to comply easily. So that it's not easy we go into their ecosystem as opposed to what we were doing before. Waiting for them to come within our ecosystem is for us to move into their ecosystem. They are telling us that our businesses are being done on a phone. And a phone has become a very powerful tool right now. So you find that there are businesses that have been receiving and payment of money is on a phone. It's a mobile platform. So then payment of taxes should obviously be on the same platform. We should be able to enable that to happen in the same platform. So our strategy is focused on making sure that we go to the ecosystems of our taxpayers and allow them to pay. And if they can pay on the go, meaning that they are paying as transactions are happening, then the burden doesn't become bigger. You know, earlier, the basis has been you pay once a month, you see, depending on the tax. You see, there are some that you pay annually. You see, so that brings problem. So whereas there are some regimes of taxes that are very low. Let me give you, for example, turnover tax. The rate now is 1.5%. It simply means for 100 shillings, the tax you pay is 1 shilling and 50 cents on the turnover, and you're done. So it's very low. If you look at it from that perspective, it's extremely low. You see, and it was 3%, it's been brought down to 1.5%. But then, if it is that low and the compliance levels are still low, it's for us to address the gaps that are ensuring that the low compliance continues. So these are the issues we have picked out. that you're addressing. The other thing that is very obvious that I need to mention is that element of literacy and everything else. These are people who are going to be within the ecosystem of the taxpayers. We have seen the agency model working before with banks. You see, people are trusting and they're able to deposit and receive and withdraw money from those. We are seeing an opportunity to go into that space and build that trust so that you can be able to provide all these tools we are talking about to the taxpayers so that they can be able to help them to comply.
It's now off. Oh, excellent. Just leave them on for now. Commissioner, I think that's a great context, and I love that the faster we can move to dealing with this at speed, the better. But I also have a question for you, because we're here for solutions, and everybody needs to understand that. Let me give an example. If anybody here tries to get an M-Shwari loan, your tax is deducted before even you're given the money. I mean, you see the transaction happening very fast in seconds, and you appreciate that I'm a taxpayer immediately as you enjoy your loan. So the question is, what is stopping you probably implementing this at points of pay? Because I think that's the only way. I had the PS talk here and say that if all MSMEs were on board, that probably you might even give us tax breaks for a year because of how amazing this shall be, right? And the chairman is laughing because he believes it. So question, what is stopping that? Because I believe we are all here united to ensure that we can do this in a seamless way, simplest way. And every MSME needs to be doing their part.
That's a very good question. So what happens is this. In fact, that is our aim. That's the place we are going to get to. In fact, you've just captured it correctly. You've got to journey into that space. And there are certain things that we need to resolve so that you can get into that space. One of the key spaces is to make sure that you've got an infrastructure, technology infrastructure, that can enable that. You see, the interaction with our core system must be very seamless. We must even be able to build dashboards when taxes are paid. At that point, somebody can even be able to see the account and see how much they've paid. You see? So you can be able to see that, in a very easy way. So the technology is available. It's for us to adopt that technology and make sure that now we make sure we use that. And the other element that we must also surmount is issues of policy. Policy basically is just to make sure that the law is also aligned. So that now there are no issues that the law is not aligned. You see? Presently, the way the law is, on some taxes, yes, you collect as a withholding tax, but there are other taxes, it is dependent on filing and payment. So we must align that too. When we align those two, then we should get there. And that's the journey we are taking now. So you should then be able to see more of us going in that direction. And it's better. You know why it's better? Is that as transactions happen, taxes are paid, and therefore nobody has got to knock back to you and ask questions. And then we can now avoid these issues of enforcement, coming later to after 2 years and asking the questions. That causes now the relationship issues that we've got to deal with. So we are aiming to get there. It is how fast down we get there. That's what we're working on in terms of making sure we improve and get there as fast as we can.
All right. Beth, I want to bring you in. You've had him. What are your reactions to this? We just need to ensure everybody's on board and seamless. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. So let me start by mentioning that the way we are organized is that we train SMEs and MSMEs in cohorts in their areas of interest. So by way of definition, what I look after is consumer banking, which is really the banking of individuals and the businesses that they own, with turnover thresholds annually of 100 million and below, which is pretty much where the whole country is. And so what we do, we have a mandate at least every year to train about 5,000 business owners. And we invite and we collaborate with knowledge partners, financial access partners, and of course we talk about the things that matter the most to them. And so the biggest thing that, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we observed is that tax compliance has been looked at as a burden. And our biggest task is to say that you need to be able to look at tax compliance as a business or growth catalyst, because if you're compliant, you're credible. If you're compliant, you're able to get financing from the bank. And so the earliest opportunity I see, and especially out of this forum, is how we can be able to collaborate between ourselves and obviously KRA to be able to smoothen those engagements, reduce the friction points, and more importantly, position compliance as a service. And so I see that and when I engage my customers is that we want to comply. Can we be able to make it as simple as that example you have given of Mshwari? Make it so simple that everybody is complying because they're able to connect it with citizenship and their civic duty.
Awesome. Let me bring you in, Paris, very quickly. From the business sectors, is there a certain policy you feel carriers should prioritize so that we can make it easy for MSMEs themselves to comply?
It was not in compliant with before a certain law was put in place. Are they still able now to go ahead and not have to pay their past dues? Well, we've talked a lot about the, the issues that are leading to non-compliance and all, but also as a way of building trust, as a way of helping these MSMEs to scale and to grow their businesses. So we need to also encourage them. But yes, we are ready to start maybe complying. I'm ready to start paying 1, 2, 3 taxes. But maybe before that, may I not be too punished for my wrongdoings in the past? Yes.
We are in a safe space. I have been assured that we shall not punish businesses and representatives. Christine, let me bring you in now, because you also sit in a place where you see what other nations are doing. You also sit in a place where you see what other nations are doing. The chairman, at some point when he was here in the morning, spoke about how AI has praised KRA for being at tops in some very good places. I have not checked yet, but I'll go confirm. But how are we faring on when you look at compliance for MSMEs in other countries?
Trust to the extent that it will help the Revenue Authority, the taxpayer, and tax advisors as well. So that when the Revenue Authority looks at me as a taxpayer, they look at me as a partner. We are working together. I think that will really help to drive that compliance. We are seeing other institutions, and it's interesting, as you have said, in many other countries, I can tell you the revenue authorities are ahead in the game because there's some level of engagement that you will get in addressing many issues, from the way the revenue authority audits are managed, from the dispute resolution process, and with taxpayer engagement. There's still more opportunity for that level of engagement. If they can come closer to the taxpayer and understand the issues of the taxpayer, the Revenue Authority may actually be partners with us as we lobby for changes in tax law so as to facilitate trade in these businesses and to grow these businesses, because that pie, as long as it grows, revenue becomes an issue. If we're able to work together as partners, leverage on what we have. I mean, you've talked about data. Data is a critical aspect in when we collect data. We are able to formalize the entire process of, and we are able to segment the taxpayers. You know, we'll be able to really know when we are focusing on the informal sector, to what extent do we want the informal sector to pay taxation, because you do not want to tax poverty. So with the right amount of data, we should be able to be in a position to properly segment the market. We should be able to develop solutions for each of this sector, consider developing tax policy without bringing lots of complication in order to protect some of these sectors, so that as businesses grow, that SME is actually the multinational of the future. So it will be very sad if at the young stage of the business, it is killed because of non-compliance that maybe resulted for an understanding of the laws. As a tax advisor, I also do a lot of tax trainings. And sometimes I ask my audience, why didn't you attend that Revenue Authority training? And they told me, we are afraid of them. So we'd rather come you train us, you know? So how can we work together as private sector and the Revenue Authority to drive the knowledge that we have so as to demystify those complexities that everyone is talking about?
Thank you so much for that. And ladies and gentlemen, we have about 30 questions already asked. I would like to ask you to help me choose the best questions. How? On that same slide that you have asked the question, there is a thumbs up at the end there, and you can vote to help me know that this question must be answered. So if you don't mind, please go back there and vote for the best question that you would like answered. If it hasn't been asked, you can as well type in your question. There are quite a number here, Commissioner, so I hope you're ready for this. If you don't mind, tech team, you can actually display the questions just on the front of the screens, not the back, because we don't want to scare everybody, just here, so we can see. There's a question here. How can KRA deploy risk-based early warning systems to identify struggling MSMEs and support them before they exit the formal tax net? How can KRA deploy risk-based early warning systems to identify struggling MSMEs and support them before they exit the formal tax net? Don't know what you would say on that, sir.
Thank you. That's also a very good question. Yeah? Let me start by saying this first, because it's very important that if you're talking about risk, first of all, you must talk about data, because data is what will point to you. It is the data that you get first. Then that data, when you do, you can get insights from that data. So using data analytics, you can be able to get insight and intelligence, and you can use that for compliance purposes. So if you've looked keenly at what KRA has done, is first to be able to have a better visibility of the taxpayer's transaction. And this is useful. So if you see the tools that we are using, for example, right now, is on asking our taxpayers to onboard on eTIMS. It's a legal requirement. When you board on eTIMS, then your sales data is available. We can be able to see. You can be able also to see the purchases, whether you've imported or whether you bought from other taxpayers. That is their sales. It's your purchase, so that information is available. Then we be able to do insight. And by the way, just in addition to that, you can see also on the layer that for VAT right now, with that information, we can also pre-fill the return of the taxpayers. You are able to see information already available for your sales and purchases on your face. And we want to extend that also to the income tax, and also support those people who are filing other taxes, for example, individual taxes. We want to pre-fill the information because we've got the information. So what we are doing behind is to get all this information, but develop a very strong analytic team. We think it's going to be a center of excellence team that can be able to analyze this data, and that will not only help us to identify the risky taxpayers, but it will also point out to the taxpayers that we think are going to exit the register, or there's a risk around them, so that we need to work with them. So all these tools, we are developing them as quick as possible. The largest information now we have as authority right now that we are analyzing and looking at is the eTIMS information, and it's very useful. We are building it over a period of time. We should then be able to have data for 2-3 years, and we can use it for very many other purposes. Also, just to mention something very important here, is that we have got, for those taxpayers who are experiencing distress, and they are falling back on their tax obligation, we also reach out to them, because we've got all this arrangement of a payment plan for taxes. So we allow you to pay tax over a period of time. And something we link with that which is important. For those ones, for example, who have got these pending bills that was mentioned before, when you come forward and you mention, and you say, we have not been paid, so we owe you tax. We have a discussion and we give you a payment plan. Sometimes we stretch them beyond 6 months to 12 months, just to allow the taxpayers to comply. And when they get paid, then we ask them to come forward and make payment.
All right, thank you so much for that context. I must confess I've been called before. I'm an SME, so I think it's there, and I'm very neutral. There is that table question, check it out. It has been voted the highest. You'll be able to see it on one of the screens. You'll come back to that. But let me pick another one here, and I think maybe I could be helped here, Paris, by you. Not because you look like Gen Z, but because I feel like you're close to them. This is the question about, could KRA have a youth advisory council? If yes, why haven't youths been involved in decisions? If no, when will KRA consider youths in this jobless country? This one is not very happy. But I don't know, have you been engaged? I know Commissioner would have an answer on that, but what are your thoughts on this Youth Advisory Council, KRA?
If I choose to answer here as Paris,
Yes,
as
as
a
Paris,
Gen Z.
yes, as Paris.
I'm not sure if they have a youth advisory, and if it is there, maybe I would also be happy to learn about it and also definitely contribute to it.
Okay, that's okay. That's a safe answer. I like that. I like that. Paris, sorry, I almost call it Kristen. Does this happen globally where you see these councils like a youth council?
I think why this conversation is becoming critical at this point in time is because the landscape is changing,
Yes.
and most specifically the tax landscape as well. So we do a lot of government engagement with respect to tax policy development. That is a critical aspect in developing policy to mirror the developments currently happening. So for example, there's a lot of reforms going through in the digital service tax sector.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's where, and even the future of work is changing, and a lot of reviews are going into that sector, mainly driven by the youth, because this will be the critical taxpayers of the future. So not a council in itself, but what we have done is that when we do public participation through the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, we invite youths to discuss some of the challenges that they're having, so as we ensure that the tax policies development are mirroring what is on the ground. Because if that's left behind, you'll end up either in a situation where there's double taxation or a situation of non-taxation. So I think the Youth Council is, it will help in order to share some of the ideas as to how to protect these novel businesses and to help them scale, and at the same time drive compliance within the sector.
Okay, I love that. But I'll come to you later. I would like this question that has been voted by the majority on the special table to be addressed. Commissioner, you ready for it?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. The question is, kindly check the issue of special table. It's a menace, and your staff are using it to milk money from SME. This thing is not being streamed live, is it? Just checking. But anyway, so Commissioner, special table, address that matter. And by the way, as you're about to address it, I just wanted to tell the chairman, Chairman, you know, for the last many forums we've met, in any panel you normally participate. So there's a question here that has been asked, and I think you should be ready to participate in it. I'm coming to you next. I'm just warning you in advance. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, we're in a safe place, so it's okay. We are allowed to say anything.
Okay.
Yeah? Just before I go to the special table, let me just mention something about this issue of youth and others.
Okay,
I think it's important that we get to know that. When we look at our tax register and we look at the demographics, the highest number of taxpayers in our register are between the ages of 21 to 30. That is 21, and that informs how we respond. And something else that we did is when we did what we call the tax literacy survey, and we picked that demographic, again, to see what it is that they are telling us. And some of the things I'd mentioned before, they were telling us issues about our systems having problems. I mean, it's not easily accessible. They also told us issues about knowing issues about tax obligation and many other things. They told us all those other things. That informs now our strategy going forward. So these plans that we put in place, simplification, everything, supporting our taxpayers in whichever way, has been more focused on that group. We have also got what we call the school outreach, where we reach to students now. So, because we know they are transitioning to that age. So we have got into that space. And wherever there is a group of young people of that age coming together, we normally make sure we participate. Because we like that participation, because they ask us questions. They ask us questions about, in the tech space, they are really big in tech space, what we think about it, what are all these incentives that are available to support them. And we have been sharing the incentives that are available to support them, so that especially when they are, startups, how do we support them so that they come forward, because they're the taxpayers of the future. So there's quite a bit of things that are being done in that space, and you can always enhance. There's room for improvement. So let me go to special table. Well, special table is always available in every, and I think Chairman speaks to it better than myself, but I'll attempt to do it because he's able to do it in a very easy way. But The special table, the whole idea behind this is this simple, that we should not have a situation whereby there's someone who claims an input which has not been declared. Because the tax, when we're talking about VAT, special table is more focused on VAT. And the VAT is paid by the final consumer. So the final consumer is the one who pays VAT. And the business here has got the responsibility of making sure that they account for that and make sure they remit taxes. Meaning that they collect the money from the final consumer. They're allowed to deduct any input that they have incurred, and then the final amount, then they pay. But then we saw certain patterns that started emerging, that you find that there are those who are then, they are issuing invoices, but they are not accounting for those invoices they have issued. So when we look for them, because we've got register, and we've got, they have given us numbers, they have given us contacts, when we try reach to them, we are unable. You can't find them. So then we go to the person who has consumed the service and say, please, point us to us. Who is this who has supplied you? And that became an issue. So when you see even the law itself ties to that, because the law is very clear, on the VAT law, it says that you then can only allow a deduction which has been declared purely to safeguard, to make sure that the money that has been paid has reached. And that's very important. So we have got people in between here, not all. Some people have found a way to scam the system. And when we look deeper into them, you find these companies they are companies that are turning very huge turnovers, but they have got no premises. So you see that's basically a scheme that we need to deal with here. Is there an alternative way we can deal with this? Yes, we are thinking of very many other alternative ways of dealing with it, because it's important that we deal with it. Is there rules that we put around to guide taxpayers getting into special table and removal? Yes, and we have published those rules. They are available on the website. We have published those rules here. So we have got to deal with them. And yes, if there are cases whereby our officers, because that's not the policy of the organization, for people to go out and start asking for money for removal or placement, yeah? Those are issues that administratively we are dealing with them.
All right, thank you so much for that. And, thank you so much for the votes of the questions. I think the two that are highest voted, a little bit, I'll be unfair to push them to the commissioner immediately. But panelists, I'm coming to you for your last statements. But Chairman, I had already told you this. There's something here, I want you to listen to it, that the issue is not paying taxes. This has been now the highest voted so far, but rather how the taxes are utilized, which discourages taxpayers. And the reason why I'm throwing this to you is because of your immense experience, even on the ground with people in your previous life. Then there's also this other part as well, that to what extent does government spending transparency affect MSMEs' tax morale? I like that, because we're talking about MSMEs. Can effective communication on tax revenue be used to improve compliance levels? I think those are the two areas. I don't know whether there's a mic close, but I can pass. I have my co-moderator here. Pass it. Sounded like three. No, they're just two. It is just about government. So one, to what extent does government spending transparency affect MSME tax morale? I think that's the question, because these MSMEs are seeing how the government is spending, and so their morale is affected. And then the first one was the issue, it was a statement though, but just a reaction from you, that the issue is not paying taxes, but rather how the taxes are utilized, which discourages taxpayers. Those two are related in a way. So what would you say to that, so that we can pay more taxes? There you go.
Very well. Well, let me stand so that I can face the audience. But look, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in my remarks, a state cannot exist without taxes. So that if we, as citizens of this state or any other state, our responsibility as citizens, in fact, is to finance the state. What affects tax morale? Indeed, perceptions of expenditure. And is money spent well or not? But that is a broader question of democracy. Because in a representative democracy, you and I, we vote, we elect leadership that is involved in first of all, deciding how taxes are spent, but also oversighting how that process works. So in our representative democracy of Kenya, we have executives both at national and county level who are responsible for expenditure, and we have legislatures, again both at national and county level, who are responsible for oversight. And to provide that oversight, constitutional institutions such as Auditor General and so on, to provide the technical capacity or the technical assessment so that our representatives can oversight. So it's a long process. I think, moderator, and we accept as the Revenue Service that perhaps we are seen as the focal point of the conversation, but I want to persuade you, fellow citizens, that it is more than us. It includes you, it includes our elected representatives, and it includes the process of democracy. Now, spending transparency, again, dear Kenyans, one of, honestly, my own personal disappointment, now I'm talking as Derito Muriithi, my personal disappointment is the fact that we don't spend enough time discussing the budget process. Okay? Right now, because, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the budget process begins in August when the Cabinet Secretary issues budget circular. So by now, there is a budget review and outlook paper. You know, looking at what happened in the budget last year, what is our expectation of the economy in the future, and therefore what kind of revenues do we expect? Nobody reads it. Nobody reads it, much to the disappointment of the technocrats who prepare it. After that, the budget policy statement, which is actually where expenditure decisions are made. I know many of you in the private sector, you get involved in sector working groups. But still the involvement is cast as though the money is generally just available. And it isn't, instead of a deep debate about the expenditure. That document will be out in November, early December. Again, nobody really reads it, nobody debates it. Then it will go to the National Assembly early in the year. Again, nobody. Then we all wait until May when some tax adjustments are proposed in the finance bill. And then we really quarrel about that anywhere and everywhere in the Republic. I want to propose that let us really spend more time looking at expenditure and debating expenditure, not just debating the revenue raising measures that are contained in the finance bill proposals. So I hope I have thank you.
Yes,
Asante,
thank you, Chairman.
please, Asante.
We can appreciate him with a clap. Thank you
All
so
that
much.
effort, Jameni. Thank you.
All right, we are out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried as much as possible to answer as many questions that you have voted for. But my panelists, I want to throw this back to you. The commissioner will be the last one to speak on this. Excellent. Okay. And look at the subject. This is how I want us to close on this. Look at the subject. We were talking about enlarging or expanding the tax base through MSME empowerment. That is the subject. So I want to ask you in a quick sentence to complete for me this. What must we do to enlarge the tax base through MSME empowerment? What must we do? Let me start with you, Kristen.
What we must do is focus on inclusive growth and sustainable development by all of us working towards helping that SME grow, be it from a cash flow perspective, from a tax compliance perspective, from a tax policy formulation perspective, so that we have the best interest of that SME at heart, so that it's able to expand. And I can tell you, as long as it expands, sustainable taxation becomes a reality.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Beth, over to you as well. We're talking about tax-based expansion through MSME empowerment. What must we do? What's the last word for you?
Yeah, so I'll frame it from two perspectives. The first one is that sustainable tax growth is dependent on trust and predictability. The softer issues are actually the harder issues. It's not even about the system. It's not about anything else. It's just being able to change mindset.
Awesome.
The second part of it is to say and reiterate what everybody else has said before me, is that SMEs want to comply.
Yeah.
That even as we continue to digitize, let's humanize the process.
All right.
The other one is that, and I know, again, it was mentioned, is that sometimes aggressive tax audits, what they do is that they shrink the tax base. That, again, we just need to be able to see how we can smoothen it out. So it's a call to action, yeah, just to be able to see how we can reform the tone, transparency, and timing, so that then we are able to get better outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paris, what must we do?
We also need to reduce the frequency of tax law revisions.
Okay.
So that there is predictability, there is better planning, both for MSMEs, for investors, for anybody who is expected to remit any form of tax.
Thank you.
So they are able to have a forward planning for the future budget, financial years or periods.
Oh, for the next 5 years. You're
Yes.
right, you're right.
Yes.
Commissioner, I know this is an interesting one, but what must we do? I think just, you can speak as yourself, but what must we do? But make it short, sir. I know you have a speech, but don't. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, moderator. But that is my job description. You've just said it up there. But let me start by saying this. First of all, we are listening. That is very important. In fact, the contribution made here and in many other fora that we are listening. We want to respond positively to what we are listening. We are going in different places and people are telling us grounds tofauti. And they are telling us what is on the ground. And so we are going to the ground so that we have got a better understanding. But there are some things that stand out. One, focus on service and facilitation. That's what the taxpayers are telling us. Move away from enforcement, focus on service and facilitation. So we are keen to make sure that we offer that service to the taxpayers. Give them as much as possible within their ecosystem. Facilitate them. So we are looking to do that, I see, both from the front end and also from the back. So we are doing certain things to make sure we improve also on our back end so that it's easier for us to be able to engage. The other element that we're definitely going to do with all this data we are going to get, data analytics is going to be the key going into the future. That will give us insights and will help us to be able to help the taxpayers better. And the engagement doesn't stop here.
Thank you.
We continue to engage, even as we offer all these simplified solutions and all these other things, working closely with what we call the payment service providers, PSP, which is another opportunity. Because if you look at the businesses, to some level of extent now, with the mobile platform and others, there's quite a bit of formalization of the business already. So we can then be able to ride on those formalized platforms and make it easier and better. We are focused on that and we are also ready to listen as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I have to stop you at that. Let's appreciate my panelists with a round of applause. Asante sana. Panelists, if you don't mind, you could stand for a quick group photo. I think I've been requested about that by the photographers, so please stand. Would you like them to come closer to each other? Love each other like genuine taxpayers. There you go. So we can take that picture very fast, very fast. Yes, I think there's some instructions here. Make sure. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Lovely, lovely. There you go. Excellent. As we are doing that, we are transitioning very fast to building a seamless data exchange ecosystem. And our keynote speaker is right here and ready. So you could be getting set. That's none other than Daktari Bright. Did you take the picture? Without me, it's okay, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You can take your seats. Thank you so much, Commissioner. I will not go and tell them that you did not want to take one with me. But before then, excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have just seen something, and I want to break protocol completely. Please forgive me for this. I want to break protocol and ask a question. In the morning, we had a session that a bit exceeded, but we still want to have these conversations today. So, Dr. Brad, just pause there because I need to break some protocol and do the democracy way. This is a democracy country, and we like doing that. How many of us are willing to just endure one other panel, or you want to go for lunch? I want to. That's the democracy thing. Can I see that? Lunch? Oh, one more panel? Now, where is my moderator? There you go. So the people are saying they want one more panel. Yes, the people have said. Thank you so much. They just had tea. Let's appreciate Dr. Bright Gambeli as he comes with a round of applause. Dr. Bright, please come by here. Dr. Bright is a cybersecurity and blockchain intelligence leader, founder of Africa Hackon, and a PhD holder in IT coverage and information security. And he's going to be here speaking from his experience. Welcome, sir. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's working. Okay. Yeah.
Mike, please.
Right in all protocols observed. Good afternoon. It's good to be here, and my job today is not to speak too much, but just to give a glimpse of what my fellow panelists are going to talk about. So we're here to talk about details when it comes to building a seamless data exchange ecosystem and the future of intergovernment collaboration. How many of you know where all your data is right now? How many of you can tell where your data is? I'm talking about your personal identifiable information. Hello? How many of you have been receiving SMSs from unknown betting companies? And they tell you, register for this bet. Or some people tell you, you can actually take a loan with just your logbook. Hello? Where is that data coming from? Do you know? And the kind of question we keep on asking each other is, where are all these people getting our data from? How did they get my phone number? How did they get to know my full name? There's one that has been going on. They said, to me, I need number. And that has been happening all over the world. And I keep on asking, where are these people getting from? But when it comes to the fact that we are seeing we're at a part where Africa is looking at data interrogation, digital transformation. It's not a conversation that we want to basically discuss anymore. It's become part of our lives. Digital transformation was not really a thing that we were thinking about a few years ago until COVID happened. Some of you never understood what a VPN was until COVID happened, and then you have to work from home, and they said, to access the system internally, you basically have to what? Use a VPN. And we start seeing all those policies and documents coming out right now. And the Kenya tax GDP ratio basically demonstrates how our progress and potential for systems to work very well together. And the question isn't really if we have to digitize, but it has to do with how do we securely, inclusively, and also be able to get citizens to trust the data that we are actually collecting and working with. African countries lose close to an estimated 50 to 80 billion annually to illicit financial flows, a challenge that we cannot be solved with silo systems. When I was working as a blockchain investigator, I was a trainer, I was also an investigator. We see a lot of money flowing when it comes to cryptocurrency transactions, and we keep on asking, how many people are actually moving a lot of illicit money, and are banks even aware, or are the kind of transaction systems that we're used to taking the money out? Because when they move through cryptocurrency, they have to cash out at a point in time, right or wrong? And when they have to cash out, they have to use a fiat system to be able to get the money out. And all of those, some of them are linked to systems that they are all illicit cash flow. And we keep on trying to find a way to be able to actually track those down. And a lot of money is being lost through such systems. So when we're looking at interoperability as an infrastructure, data integration becomes a very core integral part of things that we need to do. Revenue authorities, customs, immigration, land registries right now all host a piece of the puzzle. Right, currently, if you want to be able to interrogate all of those details, we are doing something better with e-citizen and the likes, but we could do better with the kind of data that we're collecting every time. So if KRA possibly cannot verify every company registration data, or even legitimately know the details of a particular business, then there will be irregularities that will be able to show up, and also other details where we see that there are ways to be able to actually curb some of those irregularities. We have other continental solutions that are coming up, and we can talk about them with the plenary, where we have GovStack, which is not just technical standard, but also a philosophy of modular, reusable digital building blocks that we can leverage on. We're also looking at Smart Africa cross-border guidelines, which have been helping to be able to enable what citizens already trade. They transact across borders, and be able to help in impacting or reducing custom clearance, from example, days to a few hours. Every right now, when somebody gets to import any kind of a car or goods into the country, when it gets to the port, it takes so long to be able to verify all the documents. You ought to verify if this person legitimately imported the car through a business that is known. You ought to verify who are the owners of this business. You ought to find out if this person who owns the business is actually the right person. You ought to be able to find out if this person has been paying tax. Then we have insurance details. You have other systems that basically hold pieces of data, and we want to see how can we be able to integrate all this data into one place to make sure that it will take only a few hours to be able to verify that Bright is actually a person who has been paying tax, is the owner or the director at a particular company, and be able to do that. The Kenya opportunity is the fact that we have M-Pesa, which is a revolution proving that Africans will be able to adopt digital solutions that actually works. I can't remember the last time I held cash. Only recently when I went to Ghana last week is when I started using cash a lot. But in Kenya, how many of you use cash to buy anything? Rarely. M-Pesa is everywhere. You're able to integrate into most systems, and you have a lot of data minimization that is being done to make it very easy for you to be able to use digital systems. And even your grandmother who is in the village makes it very easy for her to be able to actually adopt M-Pesa to pay for things or to receive money from one person to the other. And the world has been seeing what we've been doing in that space, and they're all riding on it. If you look at all the videos on the internet which talks about people coming to Africa or to Kenya specifically to look at the kind of ways we have been digitizing, they look at M-Pesa as the story they take about. When I was living in South Korea, I had a session that every week, when doing your PhD, you have to present a new idea. So I went and talked about M-Pesa to my professors. Do you know I was stopped? I was saying, they said, stop, what do you mean you can just send us a text message? They went and called 5 other professors to come listen. Come listen to this genius thing that this guy is talking about. And somehow, I still had my M-Pesa line. So I called somebody and said, send me M-Pesa of this amount of money. And it came as a USSD message. These guys were shocked. This is South Korea. This is South Korea who demonstrates how data can be used in a way. Let me tell you how data is being used in South Korea. When you swipe your debit card at a restaurant or at a shop, there's a correlation between the camera that is watching you and your swiping. Does that make sense? Let me explain better. When you swipe your card, a picture gets to be taken of you, and it shows, but you don't have to put a pin, you can sign anything. So if my signature has been a tick all along, and tomorrow I put a 0 as a signature for signing at a shop, it flags that as somebody stole my card. It does the reverse facial recognition of you compared to the national database to find out if Bright has been kidnapped, how does it look, how is my reaction, and am I under duress? This is South Korea in 2015. If you don't pay your rent, do you know if you get to the airport, you have to show a two-way ticket? It hardly happened to one. It hardly happened to a Kenyan. It's a Kenyan friend of ours. We're coming back to Kenya. And he didn't pay his rent. He didn't complete his rent. So they told him, we will need to recover the rent for the landlord through the ticket which you have bought, and it has to be a return ticket. So he had a one-way ticket. He had to actually buy a two-way ticket or pay the rent, and immediately he paid his rent, the system cleared him under one ID. His national ID was able to actually show the fact that he had just paid his rent, so he doesn't have to buy a two-way ticket, and the two-way ticket has to be the cost of the rent that you actually paid. That way they can talk to the airline and say, this person who had not paid rent, he's not coming back because of the date that he's indicated on the ticket, so we can recover that cash. That is how much data is being used out there. So we're looking at the fact that we want to have real-time verification between KRA and other county government or other systems, such as lands and the like, to be able to close some of these VAT gaps. So that's one of the questions that I want to ask is, how do we balance the urgency of integration with the necessity of getting governance right from the start? This brings me to the conversation that I like to talk about a lot, which I'm very passionate about, cyber security. How many of you believe that your data is safe with the government? Oh my goodness. How many of you believe your data is not safe? Okay, there we go. Now the hands are up. So when we're looking at this topic when it comes to inclusivity and also trust, this is where I think my panel needs to be able to break this down, and also the government agencies that are here to be able to actually know what we're trying to do. But I'm happy to know that people are being punished. People are being punished for misusing data right now, which is what the ODPC is actually doing, and I think my good friend here, John, will be able to shine some more light on that. People need to understand that, yes, data being misused by people, you can actually get that reported, and then ODPC will be able to actually action on that. People have been fined, and I'm happy that that is happening, because if that does not happen, others are not going to learn from it, that that data can be misused. So for that to happen, we want to be able to actually see the more integrations we get, definitely that increases what we call the attack surface, and that basically is going to bring a lot of vulnerabilities. But more data integrations basically means that we're going to have more efficiency. And one weak link in that can compromise an entire data system. So data being collected by anyone, and with the vulnerability that we have, basically makes it very easy for somebody's data to be compromised. This is where solutions such as blockchain technology, encryption of data, and the likes come into play to make sure that your data is actually safe wherever it's being kept. And of course, that brings a lot of other details, which I'll talk about very soon. And beyond that, we have African Network of Cybersecurity Authorities, which actually basically talks about how you don't have to look at the threats don't have borders. It will go from one country to the other. Kenya's experience with cyber incident, as we have seen, has grown. We've seen attacks coming from all over, and we're all being affected one way or the other. When M-Pesa was hit some time back by this cyber group, hacking group called Anonymous Sudan, it basically, we all were affected in one way or the other. So we have to find ways to be able to make sure that the regulations actually help. Threat intelligence is really necessary. Bug bounty programs, making it the public to be able to give notice to companies and say, this is the vulnerability I have found, and this is how you can be able to fix it. And we see solutions such as encryption tools, stress testing of these interagency data flows, APIs that we are publicly making available, blockchain technology to be able to help with that, and also make sure that is done very well. And to close all of this conversation is the fact that data governance with a human face is necessary. We need to be able to make sure that we can actually catch tax evaders with technology. We have data science and AI tools or artificial intelligence which can make sure that we have visibility much better. And we know that we can actually have data sharing where we know who is the controller, the collector, and who is actually a processor of data, allowing us to also have an opt-in strategy for any data that is being shared. So, as I get to conclude, we need to learn from the best. There are people like Estonia, Singapore, South Korea who've done it. We are doing very well as well compared to other countries, but we can do better by being able to actually borrow from other countries and see what are they doing that we can be able to leverage on, and how can we get it done better, that we can have safe guidelines put together for us to make sure that data can be shared between government agencies, and making it easy for us to be able to make sure that the seamlessness makes it also have security as well. Thank you so much, and I look forward to be able to engage in the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bright. A better round of applause to him, Asante Sana. So you will just take a seat, but don't be too far. Don't be too far, because I know there are questions already being sent up here. So feel free as well if you have any question. Most of the times, Dr. Bright ends up hacking us all in a room. I don't know why today you did not hack us. I was ready for it. But let's move on straight to the panel. And I want to invite my panelists very fast just to keep on building on that session on building a seamless data exchange ecosystem. My first panelist will be Ms. Doreen Bingi, the Acting Commissioner for Large and Medium Taxpayers at KRA, with immense experience as well, 32 years I see in compliance, enforcement and tax administration. Please put your hands together for Ms. Doreen as she comes. A round of applause to her. Welcome, Ms. Doreen. We also have a representative of Mr. Ali Hussein. Mr. Ali Hussein, we had a representative coming in. Excellent. The Vice is right here, so please come up here. I'm so sorry I didn't get to pick your name then, because I know Ali just made a quick replacement now. And then of course we have in the house Rajul Awasti, a global lead for domestic resource mobilization at the World Bank, based in Addis Ababa. A round of applause to him as he comes. He has over 17 years experience in tax and governance reforms across multiple regions, and he previously served India's finance minister and served as the Indian Revenue Service as well. Also joining in is Bwana Walubengo. Mr. Walubengo as well is a certified information systems auditor, certified private professional, and has over 20 years experience in ICT industry, and recently joined the Office of Data Protection Commissioner for all the questions on data. Representing the Data Commission is right here, Bwana Walubengo. And of course, joining us as well virtually is Ms. Michael Meguro, Lead Coordinator and Senior Policy Analyst at OECD and Research Fellow at Amsterdam Center for International Law. Ms. Michael, if you can hear me, would like to check that we can communicate well. Please say hello as we do that. In the meantime, tech team, may I have my slides up because I'd like us to start by engaging the people. Excellent. I can see Ms. Michael is right there. Ms. Michael, can you hear me? Ms. Michael, can you hear me?
I definitely hear you. Thank you very much. Do you hear me?
Excellent. We can hear you as well, and we can see you. Tech team, if you don't mind, may I have my slides up on the laptop so that at least we can get to engage with the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about building a seamless data exchange, and you've just heard from Dr. Bright and what he was talking about. My panelists, I would like us as well to also, in a way, engage in that conversation with what Dr. Bright is talking about. Tech team, can I have my Slido up, if you don't mind, on the screen, so that at least we can be able to have this going on. There you go. So I think there should be a poll running right now on your phones, just to help us engage. Remember, you can ask your questions based on that. We're going to do this very short and straight to the point. So if you don't mind, please feel free to interact as well into that, so that at least we are able to do to have these conversations ongoing. So what do you think, first of all, is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? I think that poll is up there, so please feel free to engage on your phone. We want to see the reactions as well. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? If you can see it, please feel free as well to engage with it. There you go. And then we shall be able to do that. I can see the reactions are happening. The question is, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to effective data sharing among government agencies? And when I look at that, I can see a lot of people saying what? Concerns about data privacy and misuse, and I'm happy that data is represented here. That's a whopping 52%. 18% are saying lack of coordination or interoperability or awareness across agencies. That's a good one as well. Also, what else can I see? I can also see very closely unclear laws or policies on data sharing, which is quite important. But the highest of it all is the concerns about data privacy and misuse, closely followed by, with 24%, bureaucratic silos and resistance to change, and then closely as well followed by lack of coordination. In case you're joining us on this Slido for the first time, you just type slido.com and the passcode is KRA. Once you're in there, you're able to vote and help us with these conversations. There you go. So talking about that, you can see the biggest obstacles for effective data sharing among government agencies. There you go. That's the conversation, but we're saying we need to still build a seamless data exchange ecosystem. I don't know, what are your thoughts, my panelists? The people are so concerned about their data protection, so much. I'm talking about 52% of all the votes in the House. So much concern about their data privacy.
you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please up the mic. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the invite. It was initially going to my boss, Madam Kasait, but I'm sure I'll do justice to
Just pause for a second. I would like us to hear you well. So kindly check his mic
check
so
1,
that
2,
at least
3.
we can hear him.
Check 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Let me see if there's more that is being brought here. Excellent. Yes.
Check, check.
Yes, lovely.
1,
It's
2,
working.
3.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I was just saying the invite was extended to my boss, Madam Kasait, but I'm sure I'll do justice to the questions. First, perhaps to pivot on what Bright shared on integrating different data sets so that you provide better service to Kenyans. And that's a good thing. I mean, I'm a techie and I appreciate what integration can do. However, as you've seen from the audience regarding privacy issues, those are the biggest concern. How do we ensure that even as we integrate different data sets, the privacy of the citizens is guaranteed? And that's where the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner comes in, to make sure that even as we adopt technologies, we don't compromise the right to privacy as guaranteed in Article 31 of the Kenyan Constitution. So one way to do that is from the outset to understand that as an office, our job is not to stop data sharing, no. Our job is to ensure that data is shared in a lawful, in a legal manner, in a manner that guarantees that the personal data of citizens is protected. So let's not imagine that we're here to block data sharing. In fact, we've published a data sharing code on the ODPC website to guide partners or data controllers that find it necessary to share data. It provides the framework for doing so in a legal way, in a very protective manner that guarantees that in the form of integration, you do not violate the data rights of the citizens. Just to summarize, the office is not there to block data sharing, but to provide that the sharing is done according to the Data Protection Act. Thank you.
Okay, so you're just affirming us that our data is safe.
We continue to ensure it is safer.
Okay, thank you so much.
Because as Bright mentioned, there are violations going on, and we have what we call the enforcement directories that reacts to that as and when it happens.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Rajul, your thoughts on what you've had from Dr. Bright and the people here saying that they feel the biggest obstacle is their privacy and concerns about the misuse of data. What are your thoughts on that? Microphone, please.
No, thank you very much. The concerns about data privacy are well understood. They're not concerns that exist only in Kenya or all over the world. All citizens are concerned about data privacy. But I want to bring this discussion back to where we are sitting, which is the Kenya Revenue Authority. Modern tax administrations are founded on data. They've become managers of information and data more than administrators of tax laws. So I think while those concerns are very valid, and I think we just heard how your government is working to protect and ensure your data is not violated, your privacy is not compromised. At the same time, revenue and tax administration cannot be effective if they're not able to manage data well and use data effectively. So I think we need to think in terms of, and I think the session here is really looking at how best can we have a whole of government approach to using data. How do different areas of government collaborate in using data? How are the systems able to operate in a collaborative manner? How is data and system interoperability functioning in a whole of government approach? And I would like to emphasize that all of this really has to be brought together from the perspective of revenue results. That's what this organization exists for. That's what the KRA exists for, is to mobilize revenues. We heard in the first session how critical a priority that is for government. So I think, let me just emphasize on 3 points that are necessary for A, using data more effectively, and B, making sure that it is not compromised, or privacy is not compromised. And that is, first of all, institutions have to be strengthened to make sure that they function in a way that makes the job of protecting data privacy effective. So the first is institutions. The second is the legal framework. So yes, you have a data privacy law, and citizens must be protected according even to the Constitution. At the same time, what rights does a tax official have, or a tax administration have, to make sure that in the name of data privacy and protection, tax avoidance or tax evasion is not happening? This is where the legal framework becomes really, really important. The third is the quality of the data itself. Now, if the data is not of good quality, it's not used in a transparent, effective manner, then having all of these laws around data privacy and all of that doesn't help. So I would say these are the 3 main pillars: institutional, strong institutions that are transparent, that have capacity; the legal frameworks that protect, at the same time provide revenue agencies with the teeth to use data effectively; and the third is the quality of the data. So if you have all of this working well, then I think the system will work well and there can be effective interoperability. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks so much for those remarks. Do you have a mic with you, Deputy CEO? Just press the mic, and tech team, you could help us with some more mics if you don't mind. So maybe you could first of all start by introducing yourself. Ali was here, but unfortunately he had to leave. Introduce yourself and give your own reactions to the subject of the day. You've heard from what Rajul has mentioned. You could build into your own case because you represent an association that is quite huge in these matters. Building a seamless data exchange ecosystem. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Christine Kitale. Yes, the town. I know you're already thinking it. Yeah, I'm the vice chair of the Association of Fintechs in Kenya and co-founder of a fintech called PesaSwap East Africa that deals with payments. So on the subject of data sharing and insecurity being brought about it, whereby people are not sure about the safety and
to help us get data to be able, one, to increase our tax base, and two, to enhance our revenues. I think what is most important is how the data is used. And for this, we have a framework. Tax collected by, data that is obtained by KRA is literally used for tax purposes. And if you look at our frameworks, the legal and regulatory frameworks, they literally state as much. We operate under the Tax Procedure Act. Under Section 16, it tells you that you can be able to get data, but that data has to be used for tax purposes. Tax Procedure Act.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for that. We shall use it for data purposes only. There you go. And I think the poll is up there. You can see, and thank you so much for your feedback. Let me get now to some of the questions that maybe we want to go directly into and see what can we do to ensure that we are building a seamless data, a seamless integration whenever we are working in the ecosystem of intergovernmental collaboration. But first, allow me to engage the audience, because you know we're about to go for lunch and sometimes it's easy to zone off. So remember, this is a conversation between us, all of us. On our Slido chat, the Q&A is open for you to ask the questions. We're talking about building this seamless data exchange ecosystem. What has been the challenge? And we have even the Data Commission represented right here by Walubengo. Let me come to you, Walubengo, first again, back to you again on the issue of data. And one of the key concerns that you've had from people is about how safe is their data, but at least you've given us a bit of it. So the question will be, in terms of safeguards or standards, what must KRA embed early to build public confidence? Because you've had, even the chairman was trying to talk about it early in the morning, saying that we are not trying to get into your privacy and the likes. We want to just ensure that that you're complying without really getting into the private lives of people. What are the safeguards you can talk about? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll speak from the perspective of the office, the data protection office, then probably customize to what KRA can do to enhance trust. Basically, as an office, we are a regulator of the personal data space. So what we do is to register any entity that is handling personal data. So KRA, for example, is registered with us. Telcos, financial institutions, educational institutions, amongst others. So once we've registered you, then we also do compliance tests. So we are able, on behalf of Kenyan citizens, to, for example, audit KRA and be satisfied that they are not abusing the personal data they have collected for purposes of tax. So I think through such activities, then the citizens can then gain more trust with KRA in terms of sharing data, because they would believe that there's a third party that can go into KRA and provide certain assurances that whatever KRA is doing with their data is safe. We also have the option of enforcement, where we find violations. The law allows us to penalize and you know, make sure that the violations are not repeated. Finally, one of the other things we do is training and awareness. Even from the citizen point of view, there are many people, surprisingly, who have never heard of the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. It surprises us, but that's what we hear from the grassroots. So we do have awareness sessions, not on the same high level like KRA. KRA have done the grassroots thing to another level. We wish we could get there. But awareness for the citizens, to remind them that you have certain data rights guaranteed in the Constitution, and to remind them what those rights are, and to tell them, in the event you feel that your personal data has been violated, you just submit a complaint to the Data Protection Commissioner's office on our website, and then we shall move in and take action to protect your data.
All right, thank you so much. Michael, let me bring you in, and Michael is joining us virtually. And one of the key things is to understand from your end, how do OECD frameworks or examples like Japan's data embassy inform Kenya's path toward interoperable governance? What would you say on that?
So this is, I think, where ultimately the OECD's role to be
All right. Thank you so much. The mics are back. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Michael. And we could hear you clearly, loud and clear. Thank you so much for that. Rajul, maybe as last stance, I would like you to just to tap onto your experience from your work across Africa. You have seen what has been happening, but what is the one foundational reform you believe should be taken to achieve interoperability across ministries? What's the one thing that you would tell Kra, who are seated here as well, to achieve this? Go ahead.
Thanks very much. Before I go
Sound, please.
Before I go into that question, I was looking at the poll and I saw that for compliance, the condition that I think the majority of people that polled had up there was transparency and good governance or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really at the core of the whole digitalization, the use of data, that whole agenda. And a speaker in the previous panel was very articulate in saying that while we digitalize, we should also humanize. I think these are the kinds of things that we have to keep in mind, right? So when we use, or when a revenue agency uses data and for the purposes of digitalization, for providing better taxpayer services, for providing opportunities to their tax officials to enforce the tax laws better, the critical thing is how are they following the tenets of good governance? And the tenets of good governance are transparency and accountability. So, and I think, Commissioner, you mentioned earlier about how KRA is very careful, or tries to be very careful in making sure they're using data exactly for the mandate with which they have been empowered. So I think all of these things are really important. I spoke earlier about the importance of strong institutions.
Yeah.
Now, this is an aspect I want to emphasize on a lot, because you asked me what is the one reform that you think is important in terms of our experience in Africa. And it's not just Africa, it's all developing countries. I think while there's a lot of emphasis on technology, there's less emphasis on building strong institutions, building capable institutions, building transparent institutions that follow the tenets of good governance. This is at the heart of it. And as we look forward, right, as we look forward to how can we use AI better for, not just for taxation purposes, but for all kinds of public administration, again, good governance, transparency, accountability, these are going to be the qualities that institutions must embed in their functioning if we are to use technology, and particularly artificial intelligence technology, more effectively and more usefully. So I think that's the key as far as we are concerned at the World Bank. Thanks.
Awesome. I would like to bring you in Kitale. I can't forget the name Kitale because it's a place that we know. But I want to bring you in form of a question, because there's so many questions that have been asked. Listen to this. Are there plans for a unified compliance dashboard integrating KRA, NTSA, SHA, NSSF, and the precious big data telcos hold to ensure citizen trust in data use? I'm asking you that because you come from the tech side before the Commission talks about what's happening there. But is that a possibility? And what would you say? Go ahead. Could use one of the mics there. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. The day I see such plans in place and in play, I think I'll be the happiest. I can even sponsor a billboard just for that, because that's exactly what we would want to happen in the ecosystem. Because can you imagine if we have a centralized platform as Kenyans, whereby you have only Ask Once services, whereby you just key in your ID and you can get all the different services you need from the government. eCitizen is doing a great job at it, but to what scale can we grow this, whereby you can use the data that's applicable to you to access services without having to do so much within different platforms and resources for you to be able to get services? And then not just that within the government, it can extend to the private sector, whereby sometimes you just can't get some certain things and you need a service immediately. So can you imagine if everything was unified somewhere and it's just cool enough, you can get all the services at a click of a button? So in terms of plans being there, I wouldn't know how the government is framing it. But for us at the Association on Fintechs, if there's an agenda we are pushing, it's the open banking agenda, whereby data is shared across different sectors and jurisdictions for the sake of seamless service delivery.
Thank you so much for that. Allow me, I'm segueing to the questions because there's so many of them and trying to distribute them here. Commissioner, let me come to you because there's a question here about how is KRA putting its best foot forward in in a changing world of crypto and blockchain. Is there something that you're doing towards that? Very quick answer if you don't mind. Pass the mic, please. You can use the mic. You can use.
Thank you very much for that question. That indeed is what is happening in the environment right now. KRA is doing a lot on the space of blockchains and crypto. We're trying to get as much data as possible to be able to then deal with issues of non-compliance. In the space of data, or in the space of compliance for revenue purposes, all we need is to do is to be able to integrate with the right sectors at the right time. And there is a lot of integration that is going on in different perspectives. Our focus has been on the financial sector. How do we package ourselves to be able to access information on monetary and non-monetary transactions for the tax purposes? We have started the journey and we have moved into that space, and there is a lot of integration that is going on for us to be able to capture all the information on financial and non-financial information. So let me start by saying that the integration journey is a partnership between government, KRA, and other intergovernment agencies, KRA and private sector. And it's a journey that involves a lot of trust, because then there is integration of systems. This is able to give us information that we are able to digest and turn it into something useful for the tax revenue purposes. I can continue? Okay, good. So for the purpose of getting this information, we have been able to partner with private companies, and for instance, we have partnered even with private companies like the betting companies to be able to get data in real time, payments in real time. We're working with the Treasury, and we have been able to integrate IFMIS again to get data in real time. So if we are able to get this data from all sources, including those in areas that we had not ventured before, the cryptocurrency players. From the Internet of Things, we are able to source this information. We have set up a section for data analytics and AI, and this is a very critical area for KRA, and this is a section that will turn us around if we are able to utilize these resources that can be able to mine the information and be able to analyze it and be used for tax purposes. So we have started the journey. We are not yet there, but I believe in due course of time, we will be able to turn this into a very, very useful venture.
All right, thank you so much. I think Data Commission, sorry, I even call you Data Commission now, because you're the Data Commissioner of our president here. The Commission, the big question that I've seen, all the questions that have been asked today, is the data taxpayers living as you speak right now, you know, the process that you do, is it safe? I think I just want that assurance.
Yes, data which is with KRA is as safe as the one that is with yourself. We operate within a framework. We have a legal and regulatory framework, so the data is kept very safely. We operate within the Tax Procedure Act, as I said. We adhere to the Data Protection Act 2019, and we have staff that have been trained. The first thing that KRA does is to train staff on confidentiality of taxpayer data. Vetting is done for all the officers that handle data, and even a commitment form is signed by every officer that handles taxpayer data, so that we know that we have the right people dealing with the taxpayer data. We also have safeguards for our systems. We adhere to the safeguards that have been put there. We protect access to taxpayer data from the system perspective, and therefore we believe that the data that is with us is actually safe.
Thank you so much for that. The data is safe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I think when I looked through the question, 90% of the questions were purely on that. Is the data safe? The Data Commissioner Office has told us that you are doing whatever you can to help us on that. And we've had experiences as well from what the tech world can do to help us. And I hope you're conversing. Kitale is a representative of all the associations of, you know, the people who are in the tech world. And we've had experiences as well from Aju on what we can do. But before we close, Dr. Bright, I know you thought you were done. Please come here, because there's one way I want us to end by this question. And as you come closer, this is the question that was asked here, and I want you to try and help us paint that picture. Where is that question, you asked? Yeah, Dr. Bright, from your global experience, what does a truly secure and interoperable public data system look like? And what lessons can we learn? That is a question directly to you. So please have a seat there. Answer that question. What does it look like? Put it on. Go ahead. It is possible. I love that. I love that. If you don't mind, you see how my mic is sounding? We need Bright to sound that way so that he scares people enough. Let me ask you, Bright. You know, the commissioners are here, you have heard from them, and they have assured us our data is safe. And I know you are at the forefront of ensuring that our data is constantly safe, and you're producing young minds that are doing that in a great way. I don't want you to use KRA as an example. Let's probably use SHA as an example so that we don't pin ourselves. How hackable is it?
Wow, put me on the spot, huh?
Yes.
In my world, anything can be hacked.
Oops.
When I say anything can be hacked, not that we have hacked it, but anything can be hacked because there's going to be new updates to SHA, to banking systems, to whatever it is.
Yeah.
There will be somebody who might make a mistake, and that's what happens to the food. So if hacker wants to be able to actually leverage on those vulnerabilities, then you'll be able to actually go to them. So I don't think anything is completely secure.
Okay.
I'm half the system for it. There's the human element, which we have to try to go to and say, if the system is secure, then let's go to the human part of things where I will be able to try and hack the person is controlling the system to be able to compromise. We made a joke some time back where hacking the system will be easy as embedding a malware into an Excel sheet. Right? Into Excel sheet. So somebody told me when it was 10 years back, your tax returns with an embedded malware and see if you can get in the system. I was very tempted. But I don't think that was but I'm like, if I do that, all you have to do is watch the system and crash the system and the whole time is going to shut down. So let's not try that. But I think right now, let's take that. So anything can be hacked because of the new updates, so new ways to hack the system. That's why I always encourage organizations to invite backbones program. And backbones program is basically allowing the public who will be getting onboarded onto the program to find vulnerabilities in your system and they can pay them immediately. The only company in Kenya or Africa who has a backbones program is Kra. I started that where people who have been onboarded, young minds, we're talking about 18, 20-year-olds, have been onboarded to the Safaricom backbones program. They find that with Safaricom, they were supposed to be paying something for that and what's happening. But right now, the simple fact we found we have the team to be able to take that in the shortest possible time in a controlled manner and all the triage and everything. So I encourage organizations to do that and allow the public to be able to do that. And last but not the least, open conversations to organizations. People will find us and be able to say, I want to report. You know what? Let's say you're scared. What if you say you have one value in the area or SHA or whatever access system? You'll get SMS. So they don't have any safe area to be able to get them done. So
Okay.
I think we just need a lot of openness.
Okay. So, Commissioner, you have some chat to have. Eh? Remember that youth council conversation? Those young guys? Yeah, they should be part of those people of cyber safety and the likes. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate my panelists with a round of applause. Asanteni sana. Kindly stand for a group photo very fast. Photographers, do it very fast. In the meantime, Wageni, we're supposed to go for lunch. And lunch is being served upstairs. Excellent. I believe everybody has a meal card or some meal voucher. If you don't have that, you will not eat. I'm just joking, but I hope you can ensure that you get that. Thank you so much for that. Lunch is supposed to be 1 hour, but we have decided, because we are very fast people, we'll do it in 50 minutes. So we should be back here by what time? By 3:20. So kindly, if 3:20 finds you still eating your third course, you are sinning. Thank you so much, panelists. Asanteni sana. We appreciate you for your time. Asante sana. And so we would like you to kindly scan as well. Scan that QR code for your feedback. Even as you exit, give us your feedback on the way out. See you at 3:20. Lunch is served. Thank you. Sound team, can we have one person come?